What an asshole!
Podcasting from Basshole Studios in Hollywood, California. You're listening to I'm an Asshole with Doug Bass. We've all been one, so let's talk about it. Now, here's your host, Doug Bass.
He's an asshole, sir.
He's an asshole.
Hey, welcome to I'm an Asshole with Doug Bass. I am Doug Bass. Hi, how are you? Welcome to the show. We are broadcasting from my outside patio tonight due to COVID and whatnot. My guest tonight is actress Katierose Donohue, who is also one of my best friends since high school. I've known her a very long time. Katierose, welcome to I'm an Asshole.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thanks for coming to the patio and doing this
I just
interview.
literally saw a mosquito land, and I was like, "Oh man."
Oh yeah, you might get bit out here. By
Yeah.
the way, so that's the
Mosquitoes are bad.
that's the sacrifice you have to make. Well, that's the thing. It's like we're on my patio, and I guess during spring I was like sitting out here, and it wasn't that bad. And then like once summer hit, I was like getting eaten alive out here.
No, they said it's like really, really bad this summer in LA.
Yeah, and we've lived here a long time, and I've never really been eaten by mosquitoes here.
You know what's a real asshole insect? Mosquitoes.
That is true. They are assholes. Yeah, they're just filled with blood, sucking your legs.
Some kid in Encino was like diagnosed with West Nile yesterday, so you really have to be on it.
Oh my god, I don't even want to
really
go.
bring the mood down.
I don't even want to go outside anymore. How are you? Thanks for coming on the show. I know I've been trying to get you on this for years. It seems
For
like.
years.
No, there's only like 4 episodes, but no, I know we've been trying to schedule this for a while.
Yeah,
So how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you coping during COVID?
You know, I got married about a year ago,
Mhm.
and so, newlyweds in a quarantine is not a bad idea.
Right. I was gonna bring that up because I was like, it was just your year anniversary like a week ago.
Yeah.
And it seems like you guys, like out of everyone I know, like you guys got married a year ago, and you pretty much had like half and half. It was like, here's 6 months of like, your first 6 months of marriage, everything's, oh great, and then it's like, fuck you, COVID. Now's the test. Like,
Right. Yeah. Well,
now you're gonna quarantine and see if this works.
We had about I'd say we had about 3-4 months of
Yeah.
like marital, like, okay, oh, this is what, we even went on our honeymoon
Yeah.
within there, and then met you and Cassie, your wife,
Right.
in Hawaii, and extended our honeymoon into just a vacation.
Yeah.
And we got back, we went to a couple weddings, and then my parents stayed with us.
After you got back?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
And my parents stayed with us for about 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
The perfect time, months like 4 and 5
Right.
of a newlywed
Of a
couple.
new marriage,
There's no romance happening at that time.
Right, right.
But my parents were, and they moved to they had just bought an apartment in Huntington Beach. We didn't know anything
Yeah,
about
they moved
Huntington
here,
Beach.
yeah.
They moved here from Jersey, and they were just, it was getting painted and stuff like that. So then they moved into their place, and then quarantine happened. They
Yeah.
did not have one friend.
Right. That was the other thing I was saying. Is like they just moved here, and like, how are they doing with quarantine? Like, they haven't even experienced their new home.
Oh
really,
no!
right?
This is the thing. They're thriving. I
Right.
guess at it's like a 55+ community.
Oh, okay.
And they opened like the shuffleboards and the pickleball.
Oh yeah, pickleball.
Yeah, so they're like I never even heard of pickleball.
So our friend Jeff, who that he's really into pickleball. Like he is like Mr. Pickleball.
Oh, they're so into it. They're like training every day for
Right.
2 hours. It's the only thing to do.
Yeah.
And like because they're on one side of the court and the other.
I was thinking of
folks on
trying
the
it
other.
at some point. It looks kind of fun.
Yeah, it does. It's like I
It's-
feel like it's like big ping pong mini tennis.
It's like it looks like you can have fun, and you may not. You can't get too hurt doing it. I feel like.
And I guess I learned a couple terms just because I was like, what are they up to?
I did play bocce ball a week ago with Mark.
Is that the same as lawn bowling?
That is, I don't know what lawn bowling is. Bocce ball is like
I know bocce
Yeah.
ball. I'm from Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know what lawn bowling is, but bocce ball.
That's what they play. They wear all
Yeah.
white in Holmby Park in Bel Air. I
Right.
know because I would always walk by them when I was walking dogs.
Bocce ball, I felt like I was like 75 immediately. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, this is fun. I could definitely see myself playing this when I'm older, but I'm playing it now for some reason.
Something to do.
I know.
Something
It is
to
something
do.
to do. It's like no one has anything to do. But yeah, your parents are good and they're quarantining, and you haven't seen them, right?
No, we did. We saw them like 2 or 3 times. We had like a social distance outside.
Oh, that's good.
Hang out.
You guys have really been quarantining like hardcore, right?
Yeah, we really.
That's good.
Yeah, well, yeah, my husband has asthma, and yeah, we're
Yeah,
not trying to mess around.
No, you don't want to. You don't want to take risks. That's,
No.
that's right. Yeah.
So,
What else have you? Dog. You have your own dog business.
yes, just like you.
And it's going well right now during quarantine. It's busy.
It's not. I mean, it's not like it's been.
Yeah.
But I have a few elderly clients who they really have not left their homes, so they still have me come.
That's
and,
good.
You know, everybody masks up. I mean, I don't really see people. You know, I have my Clorox wipes for the leashes, and
You have Clorox wipes.
well,
I
don't,
can't even get them.
I
went
did.
to I went to 2 different Costco's. They don't have them. I
Oh
went
no,
to
they're
Ralph's.
sold
They don't
out in
have
the
them.
whole country.
You can't get them anymore.
I did. I had a stockpile. Just happened to have a stockpile like right at the beginning
Wow.
of quarantine. I
You're
lucked
lucky.
out.
You shouldn't even reveal that on here. Someone might stalk you for them.
Oh, watch out.
You're gonna need like escorting leaving my home later.
But yeah, business is all right. I mean,
That's good.
and you know, being outside, walking around, and
Right.
have my mask on, and
Mask up, everyone.
I have to say I do. If no one's around, I put it. I'm a chin masker. As soon as someone's coming,
yeah.
I put it up.
I do that, especially when I'm walking the dogs. I like just leave it on my chin, and then if someone comes around, I'm like, oh, I guess I'll put it on, because then people give you dirty looks.
Oh yeah, yeah. But it's so interesting in Bel Air and
Bel Air.
Beverly Hills, where
Yes.
I walk a lot of dogs. There's like these like granola limousine liberals who also don't wear masks.
Really?
So
like,
they're
like hired drivers
They're
are not
like
wearing
the
masks?
rich anti-vaxxers, you know, those.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a weird thing.
They're in their Bel Air bubble, and they're like, we're fine here.
Well, it's a poor people's disease.
It's a poor.
you know?
Is that what they say?
I think that's a thing. People
Yeah.
think it's a poor people disease, and it's like, no, actually, no, that's
No.
not true. But-
Anyone can get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
People got to be careful. Wear your masks, people.
Yeah, man.
Mask up.
Don't be a mask hole.
That's right. That's a term that we've coined here on the show, mask hole. So Katierose was she does sketch comedy. She was a Groundling Sunday Company member back in the day. She produced her own show, Ma'am, which was all female, all women sketch comedy, which was at the Oh My Ribs Theater down
Did
the
it there.
down
we
the
did
street
it.
from here.
We did it at Groundlings. We did
Did
it
it at
at Comedy
Groundlings,
Central
yep.
Stage.
Yeah. Have you thought about bringing that back when this is all lifted?
You know, it'll be interesting to see what theater looks like in a year or
Yeah.
so.
What are your
I don't
thoughts
know.
on
I don't
that?
know if I will. I don't know. I got to a point where I was like, maybe I'm done with sketch for a while. I don't know. I did it for a decade, you know?
I know.
And you get to a place where you're like, I think I'm ready to do something new.
I feel
Start
the
a
same.
podcast
Yeah, I
or
feel
whatever.
the same thing. It's like, move on. You can always dabble in it here and there, but move on to something new and exciting.
I mean, I love creating characters, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's time to do something
Something
other
else.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now, how do you think theater is going to bounce back from this when this is all over?
Damned if I know.
Like the little theaters.
I really
Do you think it's done?
really hope not.
Yeah. I mean, theater has always sacrificed itself to begin with, I think, as a dying art form.
Yeah, everyone since the dawn of theater,
Right.
it's been a dying profession. But
Yeah, to have
so
this
I don't think
thrown
I don't think it'll ever truly die. I actually watched our friend Don in a play this past weekend.
Oh, did
on
you
Zoom.
watch that? Yeah, I was
yeah.
going to watch it, but I did not.
Yeah.
Sorry, Don.
Good people.
I will watch. No, Don's a great guy. Yeah. I'm,
The play was called Good People.
Oh, good. All right. Well, that makes sense because Don is in it. He's
Don
a good
is
person.
also a good person. His character's not super great, but
all right.
yeah.
All right. He's playing a not so good person in the play. Yeah. I mean, theater. I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's the same thing with comedy clubs and any kind of live entertainment. I would say I don't know when it's going to come back. I don't know what it's going to look like when it comes back.
The thing I will
Comics
say
are
is,
moving out of LA, like even like names.
That's fine.
It's like, you know.
I do think that these industries that we're talking about are built by very broke, very creative people. And so there's going to be a shift, and I'm interested and excited to see what happens next. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that we'll come up with something cool.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's the next big theater kind of thing, like a school or, you know, I do think like Zoom meetings and Zoom shows, like it's something that can be added to like all these theater elements because like the one thing that is cool, like nothing will replace like being in person, doing sketch or improv, you know, together. But like the fact that people have been able to join a class from you know, Germany or something or whatever.
I hooked a girl up.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I had my friend had a student in his college class on the East Coast, but she had gone back to Germany. She graduated, and he goes, she was hoping to move to LA and wanted to take classes, and would you know, advise her what to do and who to take class with? And I, you know, showed her to the Groundlings.
Right. So the fact that someone from Germany, so the fact from Germany can be like, I've always wanted to take classes at Groundlings.
Yeah.
And now I can via Zoom or whatever, which is something they never really offered. They'd be like, you have to come to LA, you know, to do this.
I mean, it's so hard to. I can't imagine.
I can't imagine taking. I can't either, especially like improv, like doing space work, and like, you know, vibing off of each other.
What's the
like,
first rule is eye contact. You have to like, look into each other's eyes. Like,
so like, are they? I wonder if they're adapting like their methods, like, you know, like via Zoom.
I cannot
like,
imagine that company is adapting. To
well, I mean,
much,
they've been under fire for some other things lately. But yeah, who knows? I mean, I don't know. I'd love to find out more about that stuff.
Well, the teachers of that school are, again, very creative people, and I'm sure they are adapting to.
Yeah.
But how will the main company? I don't know.
They have to. I mean,
who knows?
I mean, yeah, it's like them putting on a live show. It's like if there's a way for them to do that in the theater via like you know, multiple cameras via Zoom. I mean, you know, is that how we're gonna watch like theater or like sketch comedy? Like people can, because that's what they're doing at the Comedy Store. They're doing live streaming. Like people, like comedians are going into the Comedy Store performing, and they're broadcasting it to people on the patio.
I feel like that's what
on TV.
That's
or
what Don's show was. It was like they were in the theater and they never showed like a full shot of everyone, but I feel like they had to have been all like 6 feet apart. I don't know though, actually, but it seemed like that they were in the same space.
And that's the weird thing. It's like I don't know. Like I did a Zoom show last week at Flappers, and you know, it's I don't know. It's a hard thing because like they're charging, you know, they charge like $15-20 a Zoom ticket or whatever, and it's hard to for me it's hard to convince someone to be like, yeah, pay that. You know, you're more or less just being like, support this club, support the cause or whatever. But like, you know, it's like, I don't know, maybe like when this first started, when people were quarantining, it's like, oh yeah, we'll sit down and we'll watch a Zoom comedy show, you know, on our TV or whatever, our computer. But then it's like, all right, well, we can just watch Netflix, someone's stand-up special.
You know what we do
which
a
is
lot?
We already paid for, you know?
We play trivia.
Yeah.
There's this guy in Baltimore. I think his name's Steven Walsh.
Oh, yeah.
Walsh Trivia.
All right.
And he does like two games a night, and we've been playing. He's done it since the beginning of quarantine, and we never heard of the guy. It was
we did that for a while. Cassie is friends with some guy in Florida that ran one online, and I guess for like maybe the first month we were doing it, and then we kind of fizzled out.
And then we just Venmo him. It's like $3 or whatever, and it's the honor system.
Yeah.
But it's like on Zoom, and people play from all over the world.
Yeah,
it's a really hard game, actually.
It is
Walsh
a cool
Trivia,
way.
It's cool. Yeah.
Walsh Trivia.
Yeah, and
All
he's I don't know the guy, so I'm not.
Well, we can plug him. Walsh
We're
Sign up for Walsh Trivia.
We're plugging him, but
if you want to do something.
But
fun.
yeah, I just think it's so cool. He was a bartender who ran a trivia game in Baltimore, and then and he has like 2 kids and a wife, and when this happened, he just created a game online, and it took off. You know, you never know what's going to happen that, you know, your path suddenly goes, here I am doing this for people all over the world, and
I know.
And maybe I'll never go back to having to tend bar when bars finally
right.
open.
That's kind of why I started doing this, because I was just like, I don't know what else to do creatively right now, as far as
That's great.
doing something, but sort of keeping it isolated in a way, and it seems like even though everyone has a podcast or it's like it's oversaturated to begin with, but it's like it is kind of the only thing you kind of do right now as far as a show or whatnot.
There are a lot of podcasts, but
there's
a lot of TV shows.
I know.
I mean,
exactly. It's just something.
There's also a lot of people who listen
something
to
to
stuff.
do. It's something to do.
Yeah.
Let me think. Let me ask you a question. What's the best?
It's just so funny. Like, what do you want to know about me?
I know.
You've
Well, it's
known me
hard.
25 years.
I've known Katie Rose. Katie Rose and I went to prom together as friends.
Doug saved the day. I had broken up with my.
What were we? 16, 17, something like that. Yeah. So we have known each other a very long time. So it feels like it's like what do I? Oh, there goes our dogs are barking now. There we go. But we're outside and the dogs are gonna go nuts. That's why I put them inside because they bark at every little thing. What is let me ask you this. All right. What is the best thing that has happened to you in the past 30 days?
The past 30 days.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Considering all the exciting things that are going on right now.
So much. So much.
It's a hard thing to like pinpoint, I would say, especially during this time.
The best thing that's happened, it's just happened to me. I mean,
it can be something very simple. Like I went on a dog walk.
I mean, I celebrated my anniversary.
There you go.
So yeah,
see, that was 30 days. Within 30 days.
The paper anniversary, and and my husband Alex, he writes me a note every morning.
Does he?
Yes.
That's very romantic.
It's I mean, usually at some point in the note, he talks about my ass or something. but yeah, they're very sweet and always
very romantic,
they're always
and then,
pretty funny and very sweet. But he wrote me like a lovely love letter. And then he made all these donations to different nonprofit organizations, like paper
in your
gift,
name.
as my as paper being the gift, money being paper,
right?
And to all these organizations, and it was just really just breathtaking.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh my God, he did such a good job. I got him lottery tickets.
Oh my God.
That was my paper gift.
Did you win?
He won $15.
Hey,
but
that's a lot these days during these tough times.
On the tickets, but he definitely won the if it's a competition.
Right. Well, that's okay. I was going to ask you another question. What's the last gift that you bought someone? And
actually today.
Oh, really? Because I know you're a big gift giver for birthdays and whatnot.
I love giving gifts.
So what is the last gift that you bought someone?
I like organizing fun things for others, either gifts or parties or events.
Right.
But yes, my friend Robin, she texted me right before this that she received her birthday gift, and I got her wine glasses. She wanted big white wine glasses.
So she wanted those.
She did.
She requested a gift.
Well, I asked her husband what she might want, and he suggested that. But she got the glasses. She loves them. She said they're beautiful. But the thing that I got that goes with them, I'm excited. I don't think they've come in the mail yet.
Right.
But they're like little wooden plates that have a little cutout that goes around the stem of the wine glass, so you can put your snack.
Wait, what? Oh, you put your snack attached to the glass?
It attaches to the glass, and it's like a little wooden plate.
Like a cheese and cracker you can put on the wine glass.
Yeah, you can put two pieces
cool.
of cheese and a cracker,
right.
but it's like a little tiny snack plate
so you don't lose it.
Yeah,
so you have to go.
That way you don't have to hold a plate. And a glass
that makes sense.
And you still
because everyone has been at a party where they're like, oh my God, look at all these hors d'oeuvres, and I have my drink, and I want like 3 of those, but I can't hold them both.
Yeah,
and you look like a slob while you're eating it. And
or you try to say hi to someone, and your hands are
full,
and your mouth is full.
Yeah, remember those days when we used to do that? Remember when you would go to a party? And
gatherings
when you would shove hors d'oeuvres in your mouth and
petri dish of germs, like the vegetable plate.
Are we not going to have hors d'oeuvre platters at weddings and stuff like that anymore? Like
there's no more chocolate fountain. I'm telling you that right now.
Chocolate fountain.
Where everyone's sticking their fingers in the thing.
Oh my God, chocolate fountain. Don't you think a chocolate fountain I don't know. That might be. I feel like that would like the virus wouldn't survive in the chocolate fountain.
I mean, if God
It's like
is real,
lava. It's like it's like burning the. I don't know, but like the cheese plate and like the hors d'oeuvre plate.
It's gonna have to be. It's gonna be.
Like how is that gonna work? How are we gonna go back to normal life when there's a vaccine and everything? Like wedding hors d'oeuvre, cocktail hour, buffet. Is that done? Buffet.
I think that a lot of people would say, oh, we'll never go back to normal, and hopefully we never go back to normal because normal wasn't wonderful for a lot of people.
Right.
So obviously there's that. But I also think most of this country, especially the state of Florida, are just living like it's normal now. I mean, I'm so confused.
I know. Like I've thought about that. Like I'm like, because I did like a buffet, like Las Vegas or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But like now, I don't think that's gonna happen. And they're open now, some of them.
Buffets?
But like what I've read is the way they're doing it is like, you sit down at a table and they bring you a menu of everything that they would have at the buffet. And I think you're like, yeah, I want the ribs, I want shrimp,
like normal.
But like they bring you, I guess they bring you like
it's
all you can eat, and you sit there and they'll bring you the plate of each thing that you want, and it's for the table, I'm guessing, and it's probably more of a health conscious way, COVID wise, and portion wise.
Yeah, portion wise, you won't. I was just thinking, I'm like, they probably are saving so much.
Right.
Food.
And and then you can just keep ordering the plates of shrimp cocktail or whatever, and like they'll keep bringing it if you want it. But it's the same. It's all you can eat. But
what I was thinking of, one of our favorite places, that the sushi place with the belt.
Yeah. Is that done?
It was. I don't know.
Kula. Yeah, I love that place. I mean, that was great.
And the belt comes around. You take the plate off.
Right.
But you know what? That place, once you took it off, you had to keep it no matter what.
You had to keep it whatever. Yeah,
so
exactly.
Maybe it'll stay.
I think the thing that people may miss about the buffet, and here's the thing that's like, which was part of the beauty of a buffet, is like the grazing or like the browsing of the food.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like you just walk in and it's like it's like a Willy Wonka like moment when you're like, oh my God, look at this, look at this. They got pork ribs, they got this.
Just looking at something and being
just
like,
looking
what
at that
is it?
and being like, oh my God, there's a whole Asian section. What are these noodles? What is this? Like stuff like you may not like when you just read it on the menu. You're like, I don't know what that is. I don't want that. But when you see it behind the glass, you're like, I'll try that. Or like you'd have the plate and you'll be like, I'll try a little bit of that, and you'll take like a little like thing of it, and then and like the mishmash of like food on the plate where it's like disgusting to look at, but you're starving because you've been drinking in Vegas all night, and then that's just like the beauty of like, and like then you feel sick afterwards, but like that's what's going away, I feel like, which is probably better for us in the long haul health wise, but yeah, sampling something. Where
what
it's
about
like
slot machines? I mean, come on.
They have those. They're open in Vegas.
Yeah, but what people just.
I don't know.
They probably just the cocktail waitresses are like wiping machines.
They remove like I think it's like every other slot machine. You can't sit next to someone, and yeah, I guess they're just wiping them down. I don't know.
Oh.
I haven't been there. Yeah, like dice, like for craps and stuff.
So
like,
I'm not worried about Vegas. I think that they'll be okay.
I'll be there.
I mean the performers and whatnot. I worry about
that is something because.
But the casinos, I think they'll be fine.
But like but that is a big thing because it's like it is a big entertainment town, and it goes back to
tourism.
It goes back to the theater aspect, like Cirque du Soleil and comedy and magic and all that stuff. It's like what's going to happen? It's like. That town thrives on that stuff, and it's like, I don't know. It's like
we went to Vegas like right before everything happened, before we knew, before the first case in California, and we went to, it was at the Bellagio. That's where the fountain is, right?
The fountain, yeah, the chocolate fountain.
And it was like a dinner. It was like a live show, like old school. Dinner and show, like the way Frank Sinatra and them used to do. Like there's a live show happening, but you're eating dinner. And it was fancy. It was our 6-month anniversary, and we it was so cool. And the dancers are dancing all in between us all, and there was a band.
Yeah,
and it was that's not
and it's like
or they pull people up on stage and dance around.
That kind of stuff, like weddings. Like, aren't you glad you got married last summer instead of this summer?
We talk about it all the time. It's
right?
like,
Like that's
well,
that's
I'm a huge like astrology
Yeah, you are
person,
into
and
that,
so I was like doing all of the numbers. I was like, oh, we got to find a good date.
right.
And I decided August 3rd, 2019, and I looked it up, and Mercury was direct and Venus was direct, and I was like, all right, we got to, this is the day. And
Yeah.
Alex was kind of like, what? Maybe we should wait till 2020. We'll have more time to plan. I was
Right.
like, this is the day.
Yeah, and if you had
now
waited,
he's
you
like,
would
how
have.
did you
Yeah,
know?
it wouldn't have happened. This summer at least, and and then quarantine, and I mean, it's.
And who knows what weddings will even look like?
Oh
I
my
mean,
God,
to be all sweaty on the dance floor and everybody's drunk and
Yeah,
somebody's
when
aunt is
will
just
dancing
like,
be back?
you know, hanging on you.
Will dancing ever come back? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, clubs and all that stuff.
It will.
It will, but I don't know. Yeah,
We're just having a reset.
Are people gonna have like a different approach to it? Like, you know, when you'd be like, people would drag you, like, come on, dance to this song. It's like, no. Now there's a reason, like those guys that don't want to
I
dance.
can just always not participate from now until
COVID.
eternity.
I'm not dancing. Get the hell out of here. Yeah. All right. We're gonna take a break, and we'll be right back with Katierose Donohue.
Hang tight. We'll be back with this week's Asshole right after this. You're listening to the I'm an Asshole with Doug Bass podcast.
All right, we are back with Katierose Donohue Enriquez.
Yeah, bitch.
See, yeah, Katierose reminded me during the break that she is married now, and yes, she has taken Enriquez, her husband's last name, as her last name,
Yes.
which is hard for me. That's kind of a funny thing, like, because I've known you so long, it's always hard for someone that's known you that long, that's always known you as Katierose Donohue, and then to throw a new last name on.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, what, who? I'm like, what? Oh yeah, I got to use
Imagine
that.
how it is for me.
I know. But like when your email comes in, it says like Katierose Enriquez. I'm like,
Yes.
who's this? I was like, yeah. I was like,
Yeah, right.
it's like, oh yeah, I got to remember. Yeah,
It
yeah.
is. It's very.
Yeah.
It's
How has it been? Like, adapting to
being half Mexican
being
now?
an Enriquez now. Yeah.
that was a joke. I'm very Irish. It's good. I mean,
yeah.
the Enriquez clan
Is it
great.
weird getting used to having the last name? Like when you first, changed it and everything. Changed all your your
it's
info
cool. It
and
makes
stuff.
you feel brand new, you know?
Right,
It's
right.
like, I could truly, it's like being a freshman in college. Like I could just
Yeah.
reinvent myself
That's
right
true. Yeah. I wish I could do that. I'm gonna take someone's last. I'm gonna go as Doug Enriquez. I'm gonna take Alex's last name as well.
now. You could be Doug Basiliga.
I could. I don't know who that is anymore. I don't. All right.
Who's that?
I know exactly. All right. So we have sprayed some off bug repellent on ourselves because the mosquitoes are out. We have lit a fire to try to keep the bugs away. So fire's going and the spray is on. So Katierose, this is the I'm an Asshole podcast. If you weren't aware,
yeah.
that's why you're here.
Yeah, I know.
So, is there a time in your life that you may have been an asshole? It can be a single incident.
Come
It can be
on.
a chunk of time. You can be one right now, and you're not aware, and that's why we're having this intervention. No, but seriously, what would you like to share with us today?
Well, first I want to say how we met doing the New Jersey Governor's School of the Arts.
Yes.
When we were 16, 17. It was like a 1 month program. I know you talked about it one other time on the show.
I mentioned it last week as well. Yeah. So yeah.
So I was listening and I was like, oh, look at that. So
Yeah.
a little shout out to the Gov School.
Right.
And there were 10 of us in the acting program, and our acting teacher there, I ended up going to an undergraduate program, and she was the acting teacher there as well. So maybe you remember, I don't know if she taught us this at Governor's School or if it was my first day of acting one.
Okay.
But she was like, the things you need to know, write this down in your notebook.
Write it down.
Number one was, I'm an asshole.
That's what she said. That's how she introduced herself.
No. That we needed to understand that we, her students, were assholes.
Oh, you guys were assholes.
Anyone
Okay.
who thinks they're going to be an actor
Oh, okay.
is an asshole.
Yes.
And the sooner you understand that and can apologize for it, the sooner you might get someplace.
Right. That's a good thing to teach someone, I would think. That's an act.
It's not very positive.
No, but it is, I don't know. I mean, it is kind of true, maybe.
Yeah, I
to
mean,
actors and comedians and anyone like performing, I would say, is an asshole in a way.
I mean, you definitely feel like one sometimes.
Well, because it's like you're putting yourself out there on display for attention in some way. Even if you're playing a character.
It is for attention, but I also think, sometimes it's, to get a message out there,
Right.
to share it, to have a shared experience, that kind of thing. But it's just funny. It was part of her. It was the number one thing we had to remember. In our
Right.
very first test, you always had to write that.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that was the case. And she had us do this acting exercise from Uta Hagen's Respect for Acting.
Oh, yeah, I remember that book. I own
Shout
that.
out to Uta.
Yeah.
My husband,
She's dead, right?
said, I was like, I'm going to do this Uta Hagen. I might talk about this Uta Hagen. And he was like, what did he say? He was like, I got a hernia in my Uta the other day or something. I don't know what he was talking about.
When I plug this in with hashtags, and Uta is one of them, that's going to get a lot of listens, I'm sure.
Yeah, sure. For sure. People will be tuning in. But she has this exercise called 3 through the door. And the point of the exercise is that it's all about where you're coming from.
Right.
So what happened right before you entered the door. So
yeah, that moment
right before. So are you in a state of some kind? Did you just get in an altercation with someone?
Because the audience doesn't see that or doesn't know.
They don't know. They don't see it. And it's like a lot of times when you watch stuff, you see someone enter a room in a film, TV,
Right.
theater. They're not. You never know where they're coming from.
No.
So this is it's an acting exercise. Like, so what was happening to this person right before they came into the room to do whatever they're going to do there? So the whole exercise is, where were you coming from? How are you feeling? Maybe you're just dead tired from work and you just sat in traffic, and then you come in the door, and then you usually have something that you do in the room. Why are you in that room?
Right.
So that's the exercise.
Yeah.
And everyone fails this exercise. Everyone.
Yeah, I think I remember failing it.
Yeah. Well, everyone fails it. And so I had done it at the governor's school. And then, a year and a half later, here I am in acting class, and we're doing that same exercise again. But I had one up on everyone because I had done it before.
You had a preview.
I understood what the exercise was.
Right.
And so I worked so hard on my 3 through the door. I mean, I had one where I was just like, came in and just crying. And, so I had all these different one, I think right before I walked in the door, I was like, "What do you fuck yourself?" And then I walked in the door and then just started whatever I was doing. I don't totally remember what I did, but I knew that I nailed it.
Yeah. Okay.
I nailed it. And I look up at the teacher, and everyone in the class everyone turns their head, looks at her,
see her reaction.
What's gonna happen? Because she just nailed that.
Right.
And she just goes, "Apologize."
Oh my God.
And I had to go, "I'm sorry, I'm an asshole." And then everyone was like, "Yeah."
Now, did she mean apologize because you did well?
No matter what, if you say you brought in, we had another exercise that everyone always did poorly at. It was called Kill a Pig.
Right.
Sorry to everyone.
I remember that as well.
Sorry to all the vegans, but it was called Kill a Pig, and you had to imagine a scenario where you'd have to kill a pig. So I think it's in theater, it's hey, sometimes you have to kill someone on stage. Imagine what that is. How do you do it? What does it feel like? Whatever. And I remember I finished my Kill a Pig, and she said, "If you ever bring me that community theater fucking bullshit ever again, I will come into your dorm room and cut your hair off."
Which would not be acceptable in today's teaching standards. But
she said, "Apologize." And I had to be like, "I'm sorry, I'm an asshole." Or if you forgot, or if you didn't practice your thing and she knew, "I'm sorry, I'm an asshole."
I remember doing Kill the Pig, and I killed my pig off stage.
Yeah,
Do you remember me doing that in government school?
You're like,
Yeah, I did like sound effects and I made like a motion with the curtain with the stick or whatever the hell we had. Like it was all like theater of the mind off stage.
Guys,
and then
this is like 23 years ago.
yeah.
I remember this.
And then I came in like after like killing it, like and pretended to like wipe blood off me or whatever. And I was like, yeah, that's it. I'm like, what was wrong with that? Like, why,
Jeez,
like I think
that wasn't the exercise.
Yeah, but like, what are the like? Why is there a rule to that?
I love that.
Like, if you think about it now, it's
We
like, why is there a
all
rule
fell
to that
out.
exercise?
We all fell out laughing.
Yeah.
It was great. You always found a way to turn the thing on its head. Always. Yes.
I did the same thing in college when I directed the Miracle Worker scene in directing class. I turned the Miracle Worker into a spoof, a parody. Like everyone had the same scene that they had to direct when Annie Sullivan teaches Helen to eat or whatever.
Yeah, I played Annie Sullivan.
Yeah, so everyone had to
play
direct.
the
Everyone
Miracle
had to
Worker.
direct that scene where there's no dialogue or whatever, and everyone had to bring in the same scene with actors or whatever. And I brought mine in, and like I had like Annie like moving furniture around the room.
Oh God!
And like Helen would know where the seat was, and then Annie would move it, and she'd fall. And then Helen would try to be eating.
You're telling Helen Keller jokes in the middle of the Miracle Worker, Doug.
I know, but like I was also and the teacher hated it, and everyone laughed, and like the teacher was like, "Do you believe that this is the way the playwright interpreted the scene or whatever?" And I was like, I don't know, but this is how I saw it. This is how I read it.
Yeah, this is what
I was like, to be honest with you, I don't want, like, there's 23 students in the class. I don't want to watch 13 of the same fucking scene. For 3 hours.
What'd she say? She failed. You have to do it again.
I didn't fail, but like him and I never saw eye to eye on my directing style or whatever. Like
Right.
I was like. These are all boring, these scenes. Like we're watching the same thing. All right, so what? The stage directions are a little different. Who gives a shit? It's like
you wanted to make it your own.
right, and no one forgot that one. And I was so it's like, like that's an asshole thing I did, probably making fun of a blind character in a play or whatever,
Yeah. So she always could call my bluff on being an asshole and actors being assholes. So I wanted to see if you remembered that, or if that just because it was so funny when you were like, oh, I'm gonna do this podcast called I'm an Asshole. I'm like, I literally was like trained to be like,
Right.
yeah, I'm an asshole, I'm sorry.
Well, it's good that you bring up these acting or actor stories from theater, because I do think again, a lot of actors are trained to have a little assholeness in them.
Well, I am never I want to tell my story, but I want to preface it with the time that I was truly an asshole is because I'm a terrible liar. And in my acting class, we had to tell a lie. It was like you had to tell a 10-minute lie.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
But you'd have to, a lot of people would take a true story and embellish it. And at the end, she would critique you and tell you. And I told this whole story about how I lost I met a boy over the summer and I lost my virginity and I got pregnant and I got an abortion and I was just sobbing and I tell this whole story.
That was your lie?
This was my lie. I did not lose my virginity or have an abortion or anything. And I finish and she goes, I believe that you had an abortion, but I don't believe you've ever had sex.
Which makes no sense.
Well, she was saying what parts of my lie she believed.
Right.
But anyway, so that brings me to my story here in LA. And it was the first year or so that I lived here. So this was 13 years ago or so. And there was this little theater outside of LA, and I don't want to say the details of each thing, but
you don't want to name the theater.
I don't want to name it.
Yeah.
I don't.
They're going through enough right now during COVID.
You know what I mean? So they were doing this play that I knew the play, and I really wanted this one particular part, and I drove down there and auditioned, and they called me and they offered me a different part in the play, but it was still a great part. But it wasn't the part I necessarily wanted.
Right.
And at the time, I was working for a woman that you and I had both worked for a while back. And she kind of said, listen, nobody goes to theater in LA, and nobody is going to this theater that is outside of LA. So this is not going to do anything for your career. You just moved here. You need to make money. So you need to not do this play because there's no way you'll be able to do the work that you have in the day and make it down there in time for rehearsal. Also, it's not really paying much.
No, it's a passion project or whatever. Yeah.
And she was like, it's not paying much. And the thing is, she was right. I was broke AF. I mean, I had just moved across the country, and LA is no joke. No. And, and I was 25. And so she goes, listen, you need to call them and tell them you can't do it. And I said, well, I don't know. What do I tell them? And she was like, well, why don't you just tell me book something? So I call and I get the answering machine. Thank God.
Remember those?
And I leave a message and I go, oh, thank you so much for the offer of this part, and I love your theater company. I've seen a show there and I really wish I could do this, but I've booked a pilot.
Oh, like immediately.
I didn't even know what
a pilot
was.
Oh. It was an independent pilot.
Yeah. I was like, I've booked a pilot and I won't be able to do the show. While I'm leaving the message, someone, hello, picks up the phone.
Oh, they pick. Oh, this is how long ago this was, when you can actually pick up while leaving a message. Remember that?
It was like the message at the theater, in the box office.
You can't even do that anymore these days. You can't pick up in the middle of a message.
She picks it up. She goes, oh my gosh, well, that's wonderful. What pilot have you booked?
Oh shit.
I said, I'm not really supposed to say.
I signed an NDA.
I didn't know what that was yet either. But, it's a secret now, so they're not saying yet. I know, and she goes, well, okay, well, who wrote it? Well, who's directing? I mean,
oh my God.
And I said, I don't know yet.
You had no answer, no backup. You weren't expecting to be picked up on the phone call, so you were like,
I mean, this woman called my bluff so hard. I just kept trying to lie. I just kept, the director, I don't remember her name. So it's a woman. I know a lot of people in the business, and I'm just wondering which one this is. And I just kept, oh God.
A woman at that time directing, and it's like, oh my God. Like,
what woman is directing anything in
2005?
6 or whatever.
Well, that's not true, but I mean, it made it even more reachable.
But also I was so ridiculous. I'm not a good liar. And then also I look back on it and I'm like, I should have done that show. Like, I'm such a fucking asshole, First of all, I got myself out of it. So what? I could walk dogs for someone else.
Right.
And do what? Like, we were taking classes at Groundlings at the time.
Yeah.
I don't even think we had done that crazy sketch show, Liquor in the Rear, yet.
Oh, Liquor in the Rear. Yeah. That was our first sketch.
At the next stage or whatever.
Yeah.
We hadn't even done that yet. Like, why am I turning down a great part? I mean, I wouldn't have paid anything, but I would have,
But you would have met people, networked, had fun.
I would have had,
Well, it's hard, especially like, as an actor. I mean, we're always broke. And then if there's a chance to make money and you're new here and it's like, oh, I got to pay rent, I got to pay,
that is the ultimate thing that ends up happening. So many people who are just independently wealthy who make it in this industry.
Assholes.
But,
See?
Well, they were born into it. I mean,
they were born assholes.
Weren't we all?
I know.
But to this day, I'm like, I regret not doing it and also lying to this nice woman who tried to give me a break. I mean,
Have you ever reached back out to her?
No, but I've gone to see a lot of shows at that theater.
So I
hope
them.
to God they don't remember me. I'm sure they do, but
They probably remember you.
But I'm like, I almost said the acting teacher's name. What is their name?
I can always bleep it out at some point.
But she was right from the get, man. We're all assholes, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, performing in general, it's like you're putting yourself out there on this pedestal in a way. You want people to love you, enjoy your work. Mm-hmm. So, there's the attention thing there. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm an actor as well, but I always see myself as like the anti-actor because like I like acting, but I'm not like super into it where it's like, nothing else matters or I need to like
I used to be that way.
I need to like always be like, in the spotlight or whatever. In fact, I hate like most actors. Like I don't like a lot of them.
Oh, hanging out with actors is terrible.
Right.
It's really
Even though like you have a lot in common or like, work on the same things, some of them are just so full of themselves. It's annoying for me.
narcissists.
A lot of narcissists, a lot of people are full of themselves. Some people are down to earth. Or the people, like I'm fine if you're full of yourself, but like own it and talk about it or like cop up to it,
I like the actors who, it's like they were born with this enormous beating empathetic heart, which I think is you have that, Doug, and it's this thing of like being able to truly always putting yourself in other people's shoes, and so being able to tell people's stories, that's beautiful. I love that. But yeah, I mean, a lot of times it's people who just want to be famous and
there's a lot of that
stuff, and then I don't know. It can be exhausting hanging out with actors. It really can. And I used to be someone I defined myself as that. I'm an actor number one for most of my life. And it wasn't until the last couple of years of my life that I was like, wait, I'm so many other things.
You've shifted a little bit, I think.
It's still a big part of me.
Of
but,
course.
We've written stuff together. I've written a lot of stuff or produced things or, I love directing. I've directed some things. I like I like being creative more than anything. I think you're similar to me.
And I think people can do that now. I mean, as far as creating your own stuff, taking charge of it in your own hands, making a film, doing a show, comedy, whatever, and I always think like working under someone else's wing as like the actor, it's a different thing, it's like, and I rarely would get like, hired or cast in someone else's thing. It's like it's me making my thing, putting myself in it. Or,
same.
It's I'm not the guy who's like, oh, we want him for that role. You know what I mean? That's never me.
I mean, who is that?
No, never. But like, it's like and it's hard to like explain. I think to people that don't know actors or the business or whatever. But it is kind of a thing where there are those actors that like are those people. And they live by it, and like they're good, but it's like they don't know how to do the other half of it. I feel like they're
admin,
the admin, the business person part of it, the directing, whatever, and that's good. It is, they are they're an actor.
Yeah, through and through. Somebody who doesn't direct, who doesn't write, who doesn't produce. That's what they do.
Right.
That's all they want to do.
And for me, sometimes it's hard for me to connect with some people that are just that for some reason, because either sometimes they're clueless, sometimes they're not, sometimes they're very smart, but like I don't know, like if they don't know all the work that goes into it. And they just kind of like show up, do their thing, and they're like, I don't have a lot to say to them.
400 people are here to make your 1 minute look
like
whatever
exactly.
it looks like.
And then they think like they're it's like I don't know. And it comes with age, I think, too, and maturity.
But actors are also the bottom of the totem pole. I mean,
they are
absolute bottom of the totem pole in this industry. Unless they're a box office king, unless they're But for the most part, it's horrible.
It's a tough profession. It's almost like you're better off just being like, this is my hobby. And
it would be great if I had done that earlier.
This is my hobby. I don't care. I mean, I like doing it. I don't care about it that much.
The other thing that our teacher said to us was, if there's anything else you could see yourself doing and being happy, go do that.
Go do it. Yeah.
Because this is not a place for the faint of heart.
Yeah, exactly. And
the amount of times I've been crushed, just absolutely destroyed.
And even knowing people, like people that like dabble in it, or like, this is my hobby, and then they book stuff, or they become successful, and it's like, I don't know, I just went in and did the fuck.
Right.
Now I'm in this
it happens
fucking
all the
show,
time. Or somebody who comes into it later in life, and
right?
Like all of a sudden they're having all this success, and it's like, well, they don't have the jadedness, they don't have the like.
Right. They put in a full career of some other job, and then they're like, I'm gonna try doing this, and then they book a fucking movie or something. Yeah. And it's like. Yeah, that is like, if you can explain this business, like that is the definition of it. It's like walked in and did this.
Always the overnight success that you're like, what the hell are you talking about? This guy's been here 15 years.
Right, exactly.
He's an overnight success.
Yeah, and like doing the play that you wanted to do would have been fun because you like the play and
maybe
you like
I'd
acting.
Still be doing theater. Like that's the other thing. I feel like when I made that decision, when I made that asshole move, I cut myself off. I cut a piece of myself
Right.
off because then I focused on sketch. I focused on the comedy stuff, and it's
Yeah.
like, and that's always been my
And
niche.
you're great at that, and it's
Yeah,
like,
it's always been my
and you're
niche.
great at being, you know, an actress
thank
in
you.
plays as
Ooh,
well.
doggies.
But hold on, we're gonna pause 1 second. All right, hang on. All right, sorry, we paused for a second. My dog client showed up, and some dogs had to go home. Of course, he had to come during the recording of this.
That's life, man.
That is life. We were talking about acting and theaters and whatnot.
And we really, I mean, the two of us, we've known each other because of acting and theater for,
Yeah.
you know, these 20 some odd years.
Yeah.
How often do we talk about that stuff?
Never.
Never.
I mean, we talk about sketch. We talked about sketch when we were doing groundlings.
I was
and all
just
that
thinking
stuff, but-
that's part of what I think is exhausting about hanging out with actors is that
Oh,
they
yeah.
can't talk about.
Yeah, that is true. That is a good
And
point.
so now
yeah.
I feel like this whole asshole podcast, I talked about the shit that I hate listening to actors talk about, like the
Yeah.
process and
Oh yeah,
exercises.
yeah. Exercises.
And like we
and
never ever
auditions.
There's just so many
It's
more
like-
interesting things in life to have conversations
Well,
about.
it's like
but-
that's a good example because it's like, you know, like an audition or like, yeah, like if you're friends with like an actor, like, yeah, I've had conversations where people are like, oh yeah, I just went out for this thing, I went out for that, I've gone out for this pilot, blah 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 blah, and then it's like they don't ask, how are you doing, or did you go out? Did you go
Yeah.
out for anything? You know what I mean? Like they almost don't care.
Not,
It's
but
like,
it's yeah,
Not everyone's
sometimes-
like that,
I think
but,
some
like,
people are
a
trying
lot
to get
are.
one up. I think too there's this idea of like wanting that the people who truly define themselves as that and nothing else. It's like, well, have you read any books or
yeah.
what job do you have otherwise, or what other people do you volunteer anywhere? Like
Hobbies.
what other things do you do?
A lot of actors don't have hobbies or like
But
they
it's
don't
like,
do anything else.
How are you going to portray anyone?
Right. If you don't have experience.
If you haven't experienced, I went to school with a guy who's very, very, very wealthy, and you know he never had to have a job, and you know, and I love this guy, but I remember talking to him. We were in New York. I was living in New York at the time, and he would just like get up in the morning, go for a run, get his coffee, get the New York Times.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe a little bit later, he would read from the complete works of Shakespeare in the afternoon. And then in the evening, go see a show,
Yeah.
which is a lovely, I mean, it sounds like a great way
Yeah.
to spend a couple of weeks.
Right. If you're like, I'm going to do a Shakespeare kick.
I said to him, I was like, you don't need the money. Why don't you go get a job at like Gino's Pizza? Like, imagine the characters you would encounter, and like you don't have to have it. So like if it really
Right.
becomes gruesome, just quit. But you've never had a
I've
job
said
like
stuff
that.
like that. Like I've even said to like my wife, like I'm very curious about working at McDonald's.
Me too.
Like-
I literally just said that
like-
the other day. I was like, I wish I had worked this. There's McDonald's in my hometown.
that's the funny thing because like my wife, she did work at she managed a McDonald's in like high
She
school and
loves
college,
those McDonald's
and she
fries.
loves McDonald's. She loves the fries, the nut, yeah, like she loves it.
Well, you have to think about it. They put a lot of money and research into making that chemical taste so delicious.
Right, exactly. Sponsored by McDonald's. No, but I'm always like, you know what? Like, I am very interested, like, for something that everyone loves. Not everyone, but like, you know, you grew up on, or like you sneak and you have a McDonald's every now and then. I'm like interested, like, how are the burgers made? You know, like,
How
what is
do
the
they
process?
make the egg and there's no shells in it?
What does the walk-in fridge look like? I want to know this shit.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
I
Like,
would
I'm
like
just
to
like,
work there.
like I was like, maybe I go get a job like right now, like
Yeah.
during quarantine at McDonald's.
I don't know if now's the
No,
time.
but I'm like, I don't even know if I can get hired there. But like,
Right.
I'm like, I would do that for like a month or two just to do it, just to learn.
it would be
And
an
then
interesting
and
experience.
then yeah, and then when you know, like 20 years from now, when I'm cast in the McDonald's movie, when there's like a 60-year-old fry guy. And like he becomes a success overnight doing something else. I don't know. Like
I will say, if you're a broke ass actor, the amount of random jobs.
right now the dog's barking, of course. Penny, shut up. Anything goes.
The amount
here on
of
show.
random jobs you have in a lifetime. I mean, it's amazing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, good girl. Yes. All right, go sit down. Be quiet. So yeah, I mean, I would work at McDonald's. Yeah, I mean, I worked at like some. Yeah, that was the interesting thing. It's like other people. I know people that like refuse to like work at like these mediocre jobs.
I worked at Starbucks when I first moved to LA, and I remember somebody finding out, or this woman came in and she was like, "Oh, I want this latte, and I want him to make it because he is going to college." About the other guy, the barista that was working with me, and that barista goes, "She has her master's from Harvard."
Right.
And the woman looked at me and she was like disgusted. And she was like, "What are you doing working here?" And I said, because I'm not above it.
Right.
I mean, I just moved here. I needed to pay my rent.
Yeah, I worked at Hooters. I worked at like all kinds.
Okay, let's say some random jobs we have. I gave away free cigarettes for Camel.
Oh, I remember you telling me that.
Not
job.
free, gratis.
Right.
And it was only to smokers. They had to say that they were a smoker and sign a thing.
And you liked that job, no?
It was a fun ass job. I was like 24, and I went to different bars in Jersey City, and people came to know me. They called me Camel Kate, and they'd come up and you had to show me your driver's license.
There's a TV show for you, Camel Kate.
Yeah,
takes place in the 90s.
And
Cigarette
then
girl.
it wasn't the 90s.
Or whatever.
I was,
when smoking was a cool.
Yeah.
That's when it takes place.
Yeah, I had that job. I worked on the Jersey Shore, on the boardwalk. I worked at Cloud 9 on the Ocean City boardwalk, and then I also worked at Yesterday's Bar and Grill as a hostess at the Jersey Shore, and I worked for the NFL.
That's right.
I ran their children's app for a while.
See, these are all life experiences that you can draw from.
I have my own dog walking company.
Right.
And so I worked for the giant, big conglomerates. I've worked for the little, tiny guys. Yeah. And what'd you do?
I worked at Hooters. Was the worst job I ever had.
Really? Why? But I feel like you had to work there. You just had to.
You know what was funny about that job was like I had gone to Italy for most of the summer. It was after college, my freshman year.
So you were like, I've just had the most delicious food of my life. Let me go to Hooters.
My ex-girlfriend and I were in Italy for like 2 months or something. And I came back to New Jersey, and all the summer jobs were gone at that point. And my friend worked at Hooters in Wayne, New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I can get you a job there, until, and I'm going back to college in September or whatever. So I was like, it was like 2 or 3 months or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I'm like, that sounds amazing. Hooters? Like, first of all, I always liked going to Hooters in high school. And I was like, oh my God, I'm like, this is going to be amazing.
Why would you
I don't know. But I was like, oh my God, this is going to be the best job ever. I'm in college. I'm going to meet all these Hooter girls. We're going to hook up. It's going to be great. That's what I went into Hooters working there, like thinking what was going to be. And I got there, and none of the girls talked to any of and I was a cook. I was hired as a cook with no experience cooking whatsoever.
Wow.
And I learned how to make the wings and the buffalo chicken sandwiches and all that shit. And it was hard. I would come home smelling like wing grease, fryer grease every night. Like my skin was caked with grease coming home. My clothes just reeked of it. None of the girls talked to any of the cooks. No one ever went out with any of the girls.
No wonder you.
I got wing sauce in my eye several nights a week, and I was like, And I was like, I
worked at an ice cream parlor, a singing, dancing ice cream parlor called Showplace that was on Long Beach Island in Jersey.
What did you have to do? Scoop
I was
ice
a
cream
scooper.
And sing?
Yeah, a bunch of my friends were singers there, and I had worked over the summer. I think I was a teacher at the governor's school, or assistant teacher.
Yeah,
and I was done, and then my friend was managing it, and he called me. He goes, my best scooper sliced his hand open on the hot fudge can. I need your help. We're coming onto Labor Day weekend, like the biggest weekend. So I worked for
Such
a week
drama.
and a half at this place. The stench that
of ice cream,
because,
cream and stuff.
Because you're covered in ice cream, and it's summer, and so by the time, and it's 6 hours of grueling work, because it's they would seat 100 people in the parlor, do a half an hour show, everyone would pay their bill, they would leave, and then they would seat another 100 people, but they only had about 15 minutes to scoop these massive ice creams, and there were only 2 or 3 of us as scoopers. I was just drenched, covered in cream, and it's sour,
soured milk.
Soured milk. I would take a shower in my clothes. before I would take my clothes off because it was just so disgusting.
That's horrible. Yeah.
So we both had that.
I worked at where else? I worked at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette during college.
Oh my
But it was like a part-time job, and I would go in and I would just I would gather like the local sports scores and stats or whatever, like for like the surrounding Pittsburgh teams.
Did you have to
or whatever.
like call?
You'd call places and you'd write stuff down. And you'd put it into like a chart or something like that. But like, and this was at night. This was like, after the real reporters like would go home or whatever. This was like 8 p.m. to like 11 or whatever, And I remember like going. I did it for like 2 months or something like that. And I remember going in there and being in like a really big newspaper, like headquarters, and just being like
the Daily
oh my
Planet.
God. Yeah, I felt like I was like, oh my God, I could be a reporter. Like I'm gonna be a reporter. Like I'm gonna be like Clark Kent or something. Like I was like just being in there, and it's like Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. It had all these official.
Like, I know that you've had the news pay you for like B-roll footage a couple of times. See, you have these jobs,
but
and
it was
you never
like
know how
I pretended like I was like a hotshot reporter while just being in the presence of that office. I was like, yeah, I gotta go into the Gazette.
What was your outfit like?
Nothing. It was probably
have
shorts.
One of those hats with the
I dressed as Clark Kent with like the top hat, and I wore the Superman thing under my shirt in case there was an emergency. But like I was like for a moment there, I was like, oh yeah, I could see myself working here. But like even working there for 2 months, I was like, okay, as an actor, like if I got cast as like a reporter, like I felt like what it would be like to be in that office, like when it's like buzzing and stuff. And I was like, this is cool, So that was a cool job.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
But some other, I don't know. I mean, there's been a lot of shitty jobs. Let's face it. I mean, bartending, cater waitering in LA.
Oh, man.
I don't know. Well, my first job in LA.
We say shitty jobs, and we both pick up dog shit. For
I know.
But you know what? No
one's watching me.
But
though,
the dogs are such a loving, wonderful.
They are. I do love being a dog walker.
It gets you outside, and it's just and you become a part of people's families.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
One shitty job the first job I had when I moved here was the overnight shift at Abercrombie and Fitch on the Santa Monica Promenade. So
what the heck?
So like when the store closes, we would go in and we would refold all the clothes and like make it look nice. So like every time I go like into a clothes store now, like I try to like if I pick up a shirt, I try to put it back
exactly
normal because that sucked. I remember being like, and you had to fold it like a precise way with like a plastic square and all this shit, and I was like, this is awful. I'm like, this is horrible.
Yeah. I did a lot of promotional work in New York. And I remember doing like for Time Out Magazine and Grey Goose, and I did one for Survivor. Like we were in Times Square handing out bandanas, and but there was one for a new show that was going to be premiering called How I Met Your Mother.
Oh,
and they had the cast come out and say hi, but it took place in Grand Central Station, and they had one portion like sectioned off, and they were doing a speed dating event, and so my job was like sign people in,
right?
And then but everything was being filmed, and it was like a promotional event for this new show. And I remember they gave us a speech like, "Do not mention Doogie Howser."
Oh,
because it was the first thing Neil Patrick Harris.
was on,
it was the first thing he had done. Like,
right.
And I just kept being like, because I'm an asshole. But it was such an interesting job. But one couple of the guys saw the cameras or maybe assessed the women. They bolted, and so there were like 2 or 3 empty seats in the speed dating. So then the camera would come and the girl would be sitting all by herself at the table. And so I sat down where an empty seat was just so that they would have someone sitting across from them so they didn't feel weird, so they had someone to talk to or whatever. But I feel like it was an asshole move because they would sit down and be like, what the hell is this?
God.
Like, I came here to meet a man. Like, who are
right,
you?
right, yeah.
But
be open-minded.
That was an interesting job though. Yeah.
And then years later, you were on that show as an actress.
Yes, I was.
Which is
it was
amazing.
my first.
See?
It was like my first.
It's meant to be.
Gig. I know.
Yeah.
I know. And I was not expecting to book it. I just went. Yeah. And then.
See, that's a cool story when you start out working as a promoter for the new show on CBS or whatever.
5-6
and
years
then,
later.
And then years later, you're a guest star on it or whatever.
Yeah.
And that is the acting business. It's like, oh my God, like, yeah, like, I used to do this for this show and now I'm on it or whatever. It's like these crazy stories that end up happening to us, which is, that's Hollywood, folks. So if you have a dream, don't come here. No.
Listen,
or be an asshole and come here.
We need some apartments to open up and rents to drop here. So
exactly.
Listen.
I mean, it may be the time to move it. A lot of people are leaving now, so if you are interested in coming here,
it's a renter's market.
Yeah, don't email me, but come on out and live your dream in some way.
And then come see anytime we have open mic or whatever. Make sure.
What will happen is you'll move here, you'll have high hopes, and then 3 months later, you'll be sitting here with me on this podcast. That's what's going to happen.
Or 13 years later.
Yeah, or 13.
14.
There's no time
God.
limit. Yeah, exactly.
Holy moly.
Well, Katierose, you've really put yourself out there today. I want to thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
And I think there's only one thing left for you to do.
I'm Katierose Enriquez, and I am an asshole.
There you go, folks. She is an asshole. I forgot to put the applause. I usually put the applause.
Oh, come on, man.
Oh, wait, hold on. Let's do it again. All right, go ahead again.
Do it again.
Say it again.
Okay. I'm Katierose Enriquez, and I'm an asshole.
There you go.
Yeah.
See? Katierose Enriquez, and she is an asshole. Well, Katie, I want to thank you for being on the show today.
I appreciate you having me.
You can catch Katierose doing nothing right now.
I'm actually. I did a voice dub on
cool.
Money Heist. If you watch
what is Money Heist?
La Casa de Papel on Netflix, and I play a character. I play the voice of a character.
La Casa de
Manila
Papel. All right,
season 4.
So check that out on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And we will. Katierose and I both are going to have a massive return to entertainment in some way once COVID is done.
It's happening right now.
It's happening right now with this podcast, but we also wrote a short, which I think we're going to revisit at some point.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Everything else is good, Can't complain too much.
No.
We're healthy.
I really can't.
Yeah, exactly.
I got my health.
We got dogs
I got a good
around.
husband. I got dogs.
Yeah.
I got good friends like Doug Bass.
Exactly. All right, Katierose, thank you for coming out today. Katierose Enriquez is an asshole, and she's here, and she's one of my best friends. All right, Katie, don't be an asshole, but if you are, talk about it. Bye.
Bye. Love you.
You've been listening to I'm an Asshole with Doug Bass. Please subscribe to us on all streaming platforms. Follow Doug on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Doug Bass Comedy. Thank you for listening, and remember, don't be an asshole. But if you are, talk about it. Have a good asshole story? Email us at doug@dougbasscomedy.com. We'll see you next time.